To Zimbabwe, where the government of the country on Friday, January 28th, further relaxed COVID-19 lockdown restrictions and announced that schools would open for the first time on the 7th of February as the country continues to record low infection and death rates. The relaxed lockdown restriction gave businesses the green light to resort to normal operating hours, while bars, nightclubs, and restaurants will remain open until 10 p.m. even as curfew hours have been adjusted to run from midnight until 5:30 a.m.
Well, the government had postponed the opening of schools last December following the outbreak of the Omicron variant. But the big question is, are teachers going to turn up on school's opening day? This question comes after 16 teachers were arrested for demanding their salaries and were charged with gathering to promote violence and bigotry. Well, joining us this morning from Harare to discuss the hanging question is the Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, Obed Masasore, who joins us this morning on Breakfast Central. Thank you so much for being here, Obed. Now, Obed, we know that 16 teachers, hopefully the number has not increased, 16 teachers so far, including yourself, were arrested 2 weeks ago for demanding a better salary. Have your demands been actually met?
No, not at all. Thanks for having us here. Not at all. They haven't really addressed anything. They went on to make a pronunciation of opening schools without addressing the fundamentals. So it's a hollow call, it's a hollow pronouncement. It's not backed by any initiative or any plans to make sure that when schools open, our teachers are back in the classrooms. The teachers in Zimbabwe remain incapacitated. Remember, their salaries were slashed from 540 United States dollars to 90 US dollars at a time where rental was just for 2 rooms to live are almost 100 US dollars. So the teachers are incapacitated severely. They cannot even afford to pay school fees for their own children to be in the same classroom they will be teaching. So the teachers won't be back in the classroom. And also, importantly, even the learners themselves are not ready for schools opening because you understand poverty in Zimbabwe has reached almost 8 million of our people living in extreme poverty. They're failing to get a meal. We can't expect them to be paying tuition fees and also to buy learning and teaching materials. So if government doesn't play ball and ensure that we give education recovery grants to our schools and ensure that we provide state-funded education, ensure that we pay our teachers well. Schools opening day, only the good is open, but no learner will be paid.
Right, Obed. Now, we also understand that the arrested demonstrated teachers were granted bail by a court in Harare. I mean, after the arrest, they have been granted bail. You yourself have also been granted bail. We also understand that a lot of teachers in Zimbabwe have been leaving the countries to do even menial jobs in the United Kingdom. But now that the government has given a directive for schools to reopen, are you seeing teachers really heeding to this call?
Like I said, teachers are not going back to work. Of course, we were granted bail, which was in our local currency 5,000, which I would estimate should be around 20 US dollars, but which was still too much for most of the teachers. But we got wishes to pay the bail, and the teachers are free, and they'll be going back to court on the 17th of February. But also, this is coming at a time where we've seen a mass exodus of teachers, and even our government being prepared to export some of our teachers to Rwanda. But when we have a teacher shortage of almost 90,000, so Zimbabwe is locked in a serious education crisis. When schools open, no teacher will be in school. And this because teachers have consistently been not teaching. We've seen even 60% of learners dropping out of school in one province, like 60% failing to go to school. You look at the numbers of early child marriages, it's on the increase. We have a government where the government officials, their own children, don't learn in our own schools. They don't learn in our public schools. So they have a complete disregard of our education system. And when they make these announcements just for ticking the box, they know that no learning is going to take place, but they simply don't care because their own children are not affected. So we have an education crisis which is born out of negligence by the government of the day.
All right, Obed, one last question. What are you teachers really demanding for? Aside from salary increase, is there anything else that you're asking for? What are you really asking for?
You know, we have stopped making selfish demands as teachers. We have reduced our demands to the one for our there's the restoration of our salaries, which we used to earn pre-October 2018. before this government, which eroded our salaries through recurring stipulation. And we are saying, just restore. We don't even need an increment. We just want the restoration of our salaries. But secondly, we are calling for state-funded education for our children, for the children of the working class, the poor, the peasant, the children who are dropping out of school because they cannot afford to pay the school fees. The Constitution of Zimbabwe, Section 75, mandates the government of the day to be funding, fully funding basic education. And they are not doing that. So that becomes our second demand, because we believe that we also have to protect the welfare of our own learners, because we are a union which fights for proper education. And there can't be proper education when you exclude those of marginalized communities. And then the last demand only speaks to the safety in the schools. It is a national demand that we let's make sure that our schools are safe, the schools are adhering to standard operating procedures. The standard operating procedures were drafted by government itself using WHO guidelines, and we just want our schools to be able to pop up to ensure that our schools don't be COVID-19 hotspots. We have shelved other demands, and these are urgent demands because we have education recovery. We don't want our learners to stay at home. We don't want our learners to be idle in schools. We just want a caring government which realizes urgent need for paying the teachers, funding basic education, ensuring that schools are safe.
Quite insightful. Well, thank you so much, Obed, for being here on Breakfast Central and let us in on what is actually going on right there in Zimbabwe, particularly now that the schools are set to open on the 7th of February. We look forward to keep tabs with you and probably do let us know if all the teachers did resume.
Thank you so much. We'll keep you posted.
Most definitely.